There is a bright yellow compound sitting on the shelf of every pharmacy in America right now that lowers blood sugar as effectively as the most prescribed diabetes drug on earth. Not similarly, not close to, identically. In a head-to-head clinical trial, it matched metformin milligram for milligram across every major glucose measure. It lowers cholesterol through a mechanism that no statin on the market can replicate. It suppresses the same protein targeted by injectable drugs that cost $14,000 a year. For 3,000 years, civilizations on 3 continents used it to treat the same diseases that now generate over $140 billion annually for pharmaceutical companies. You can buy it today for $40. No prescription, no insurance, no doctor visit. The FDA classifies it as a food. They have sent violation notices to every company that dared to tell you what it does. This is berberine. And the reason your doctor has never mentioned it is the same reason it will never be approved as a drug in the United States. It cannot be patented. Nobody can own it. And in modern medicine, what nobody can own, nobody will fund. What nobody funds, nobody approves. And what nobody approves, you are never told about. The earliest known record of berberine in human medicine sits on a clay tablet in the library of Assyrian Emperor Ashurbanipal, dated to 650 BC. The tablet describes barberry fruit, one of the richest natural sources of berberine on the planet, used as a blood purifying agent nearly 2,700 years before the invention of the stethoscope. But the Assyrians were not the first. In China, berberine-containing plants have been used continuously for more than 3,000 years. The Shenong Bencao Jing, one of the oldest pharmacological texts in human history, attributed to the legendary emperor Shennong around 2500 BC, catalogued the berberine-rich plant Coptis chinensis. Chinese physicians called it huangilan and prescribed it for diarrhea, fever, gastrointestinal infections, and inflammatory disorders. They used it so extensively across centuries that it became one of the most commonly exported medicinal herbs in all of traditional Chinese medicine, shipped to over 130 countries worldwide. On the other side of the Himalayas, Ayurvedic practitioners in India had been using the same compound under a different name, in a completely separate medical tradition. They called it Daruharidra. The Charaka Samhita, written around 400 BC, prescribed plants that contain berberine specifically for diabetes, systemic inflammation, bacterial infections, wound healing, and eye disorders. 2 civilizations, separated by the highest mountain range on Earth, with no shared language, no shared medical philosophy, and no means of exchanging pharmaceutical knowledge, independently identified the same alkaloid compound in the same genus of plants, and prescribed it for the same diseases. That is not coincidence. That is convergent empirical validation across millennia and across civilizations that never exchanged a single word. By the 19th century, berberine had crossed every ocean. Native American tribes were already using golden seal, one of the richest natural sources of berberine on the continent, for fever, diarrhea, and dysentery. The compound was never obscure. It was never hidden. It was one of the most widely recognized plant medicines in human history, validated independently across 5 continents and 30 centuries of continuous use. In 2004, researchers led by Jingwen Kong published a landmark study in Nature Medicine, one of the most prestigious scientific journals on Earth. They administered berberine orally to 32 patients with high cholesterol for 3 months. Serum cholesterol dropped 29%. Triglycerides fell 35%. LDL cholesterol, the form directly responsible for arterial plaque and cardiovascular death, decreased 25%. But what made the study revolutionary was the mechanism. The researchers discovered that berberine lowers cholesterol through a pathway completely distinct from every statin ever manufactured. Statins block an enzyme called HMG-CoA reductase in the liver. Berberine does not touch that enzyme. Instead, it stabilizes the messenger RNA of LDL receptors on liver cells, tripling their functional lifespan from 64 minutes to 198 minutes. More receptors surviving longer means more cholesterol cleared from the bloodstream continuously. But it gets stranger. Subsequent research revealed that berberine also suppresses a protein called PCSK9. the exact molecular target of Repatha and Preluent, injectable monoclonal antibody drugs that cost $12,000 to $14,000 per year. In laboratory studies on human liver cells, berberine reduced PCSK9 levels by up to 90%. The pharmaceutical industry spent billions developing synthetic PCSK9 inhibitors that require self-injection every 2 to 4 weeks. Berberine was already doing it orally for 3,000 years. Then came the diabetes data. A clinical trial at Jinhua Hospital randomized 36 newly diagnosed type 2 diabetic patients to receive either berberine or metformin at 500 milligrams 3 times daily for 13 weeks. The results were identical. Hemoglobin A1C dropped from 9.5 to 7.5% in the berberine group. Fasting blood glucose fell from 10.6 to 6.9 millimoles per litre. Postprandial glucose dropped from 19.8 to 11.1 millimoles per litre. A meta-analysis of 46 clinical studies covering over 4,000 type 2 diabetic patients confirmed the findings at scale. Berberine matched metformin for blood sugar reduction. On 3 separate measures, hemoglobin A1C, fasting plasma glucose, and 2-hour postprandial glucose, berberine actually outperformed metformin. Studies from China, Italy, India, and Iran all reached the same conclusion. So why does your doctor not prescribe it? Because the answer to that question is worth $140 billion a year. The GLP-1 drug market alone, the class that includes Ozempic, Wegovy, and Mounjaro, hit $53 billion in 2024 and is projected to exceed $130 billion by 2034. 2 companies control the entire category. Novo Nordisk and Eli Lilly semaglutide alone generated $33 billion in 2025. Ozempic costs over $1,000 a month. Wegovy costs $1,300 a month. 1 in 8 American adults has now tried a GLP-1 drug. The statin market adds another $16 billion. The total diabetes drug market exceeds $75 billion. Combined, the pharmaceutical revenue berberine threatens across diabetes drugs, cholesterol drugs, and weight loss drugs exceeds $140 billion annually. Berberine costs $40 for a 90-day supply. It activates AMPK, the same metabolic master switch as metformin. It enhances the body's natural production of GLP-1, the exact hormone that Ozempic was engineered to mimic. It inhibits PCSK9, the same protein that Repatha was built to block. 1 compound, 3 mechanisms, 3 multi-billion-dollar drug categories. No pharmaceutical company will spend the $1 to $2 billion required for FDA drug approval, because berberine is a natural alkaloid found in over 450 plant species across the globe. There is no patent to file, no exclusivity to protect, no monopoly to build, no return on investment. The system is not designed to suppress berberine specifically. The system is designed to make approval impossible for any compound that cannot generate monopoly profits. The result is the same. In the summer of 2023, this financial reality collided with social media. Berberine went viral on TikTok, called Nature's Ozempic. The hashtag accumulated 75 million views. Sales at Now Foods surged 623% before they ran out of stock entirely. The institutional response was immediate and coordinated. Harvard Medical School professors appeared on national television to discredit it, telling viewers there was no evidence berberine worked like a GLP-1 drug, while failing to mention the 46 clinical trials proving it matches the most prescribed diabetes drug on the planet. The FDA issued consumer warnings. Media outlets published nearly identical stories within the same week, telling Americans the clinical evidence was insufficient and to trust their physicians, not social media influencers. The message was clear. A $40 supplement with 3,000 years of documented use in a Nature Medicine publication was treated as dangerous misinformation. $1,000 per month injectable with less than a decade of long-term safety data was treated as settled science. The FDA confirmed it has not approved berberine for any drug use and sent violation notices to companies making health claims on their websites. Under federal law, any substance intended to treat or prevent disease is classified as a drug and requires pre-market approval, even if it has 3,000 years of documented safe use. The companies that sell berberine are legally prohibited from telling you what 46 clinical trials prove their product does. You cannot say it treats diabetes. You cannot say it lowers cholesterol. You cannot say it reduces blood sugar. Meanwhile, the supplement market itself was weaponized against consumers. When demand surged, counterfeit products flooded Amazon and Walmart. Independent testing by now. Foods across 33 berberine brands found that over 80% failed potency testing. 18 brands contained less than 40% of the berberine listed on the label. 7 brands contained 1% or less. The capsules were essentially empty. Now, Foods presented this data directly to the FDA. The Natural Products Association confirmed the agency's response was to sit on the sidelines. No enforcement, no recalls, no investigation. The compound that threatens a $140 billion industry gets no approval pathway, no quality enforcement, and no legal ability to communicate its own clinical evidence. The drugs it matches or outperforms get billion-dollar marketing budgets, full insurance coverage, and celebrity endorsements. But berberine survives. It survived the fall of Assyria. It survived the Cultural Revolution in China. It survived the rise of the pharmaceutical industrial complex. And it survived a coordinated media campaign in 2023 designed to discredit it at the exact moment Americans discovered it worked. The clinical evidence is not shrinking. It is growing. New studies are published every year, confirming and expanding what Assyrian scribes inscribed on clay tablets in 650 BC and what Chinese physicians documented in the Shenong Ben Chao Jing centuries before the Roman Empire existed. If you want to explore berberine, look for brands that provide third-party certificates of analysis and contain berberine hydrochloride derived from Berberis aristata at 85% purity or higher. The clinical dosage used across most published trials is 500 mg taken 2 to 3 times daily with meals, totaling 1,000 to 1,500 mg per day. If you are currently taking metformin, statins, or any blood sugar medication, talk to a healthcare provider before adding berberine, because it is effective enough to cause hypoglycemia when combined with other glucose-lowering agents. That is not a warning against berberine, that is the single strongest proof that it works. 3,000 years of proof, 46 clinical trials of proof, published in Nature Medicine, matched metformin, mimics Ozempic, outperforms statins through a mechanism shared with $14,000 injectable drugs, and still classified as a food. Thanks for watching. Click here to check out another video, and make sure to hit subscribe.